This is Pastor Keith with Movement Towards Christ Church, and I'm here with another sermon regarding who is a church member. What does a church member need to do to be a church member? Now, this reminds me of my first sermon I gave in church, in live church, because I want the people to know what a church is, but I'm going over more what a member is in the church and discern any arguments that you have that you're a real church goer, that you believe in God, that you have the faith in Him. Now, church is not, let me go over what a church is, since I'm going to be addressing what a member is. And the church is not a loose affiliation of people who hold roughly the same religious beliefs. And it's not a building. A building is simply a place to meet in a non-profit organization with a clear vision statement and lucid objections. I'm not joining a altruistic or philanthropic society when I join a church. A church is a regular assembly of people who profess and give evidence that they have been saved by God's grace alone, for His glory alone, through faith alone, in Christ alone. Now, a church is a display of God's wisdom and glory, Ephesians 3 and 10, a display of God's wisdom and glory. Now, it is a display of countercultural, Christ-like love, John 13:35. That's a display of countercultural Christ-like love, John 13 and 35. Now, church is for believers. But of course, we open our doors to non-believers so they can learn what God is and what God does for you. So non-believers come to church, and if soon after they don't believe in God and they don't actually hear the word when they're there, they will actually leave. But God has to open up their hearts, their minds, their bodies, and souls to receive Him. We just pass on His word to them, but God is the one that makes the decision to open up their hearts to become a member of God's church. Now, and Paul in Corinthians, inclusion is is in 1 Corinthians 5:2, 7, 12-13. I'm just going to put these together, and it says, you have become arrogant and have not mourned instead, so that one who has done this deed would be removed from your midst. Clean out the old leaven so that you may be new lump, just as you are fat unleavened. For Christ, our Passover, also has been sacrificed. I wrote to you in my letter, do not associate with immoral people. I did not at all mean with the immoral people of this world, or with the covetous and swindlers, or the adulterers, for then you have to go out of this world. But actually I wrote to you not to associate with any so-called brother if he is an immoral person, a covetous, or an adulterer, or a revealer, or a drunkard, or a swindler, not even to eat with such a one. For what have I do with judgments outsiders? You are not judged those who are within the church, but those who are outside God judges. Remove the wicked man from among yourself. That means let's not associate ourselves with non-believers, because believers bring believers. The good fruit that a believer has is spread to other good fruit. And also your good fruit can help non-believers become believers. Associate yourself with the Word. Associate yourself with the Bible. Associate yourself with God. Associate yourself with Jesus. And we will become a total body, a total church. Because a body of the church has different arms, and we have to go to the church to fulfill those arms. Now, what does a church member signify? Church member signifies a church corporate endorsement of a person's salvation, of Jesus Christ's salvation. Church membership signifies an individual commitment to grasp hold of one another in mutual love and discipleship. We are all believers in God. We are all disciples of God. And we are all ambassadors of God. So we have to spread the wealth, spread God's word within the church as well as outside the church. Now, church is a regular responsibility. It involves people in each other's lives for the purpose of the gospel. For the purpose of the gospel, for the purpose of His word, we have to regularly involve each other. That's why we go to a building on Sunday, tent, or whatever it is, a house, whatever it is, to meet for God. And God should be the purpose in our lives. Now, church members signifies an inward love for God and His people. Understand, because you have to love God. And you have to love each other. You know, in Ephesians 4 and 15 and 16, by speaking through truth and love, we are to grow up in aspects into Him who is the head, even Christ, from whom the whole body being fitted and held together by what every joint supplies according to the proper working of an individual part causes the great growth of the body and building up of itself in love. Now, understand, we a church, years ago, a church was the body, and of course, Christ, God is the head, but, we come together to make a whole body. And, back in the day, the people that met in church, there were no, pastor, associate pastor, teacher, head, all that stuff. There wasn't a true organizational thing. When you went to church in the old days, Christ's days and before, you were in fact appointed to these positions. The one that talks, the one that keeps record, the one that lets the people in the door, the one that sits the people down. That's what it was. It wasn't ushers and pastors. And so you have to believe that none is as important as another. Everybody is important in church. Everybody. Because without a total body, there is no church. Now, excuse me. To enter church membership is to enter into a covenant with other members and the pastors. It is a commitment to being meaningfully involved in the lives of other members to do them good spiritually. Therefore, when we allow non-Christians into the membership, we are allowing them to intimate access to the lives and struggles of the other members, allowing them to informally counsel and comfort, rebuke and correct, train and teach. It is a limiting membership to Christians. We are protecting the flock from being infiltrated by wolves in sheep clothing. And like I said before, we must observe the good fruit of the church, and we have to understand that there's going to be bad eggs in the church, bad members, but we have to pray for them so they become righteous as we are. So you as a member have to be strong and diligent in your practice with the Lord, because there are going to be challenges in church. And there are going to be members that mock the pastor. There's going to be members that mock you. There's going to be members that deny their love for Christ. There's going to be members that are gay. There's going to be members that just want to be dismissed. So we have to be strong. We have to discern who is a genuine believer. We can't just take people in. With some people, like I said, God has to open their hearts. So when you become a member of a church, you have to believe in God and have faith in Him. If it takes a day, a week, a month, a year, you have to be committed to God before you can become a member. You know, there's different types of members. There's what we call a beginner, which doesn't know much, and there's one medium, and there's one that knows the Bible. But knowing the Bible is not what it used to be. Because anyone can memorize verses and call ourselves Christians. But be a member, you have to be actionatory. You have to act in God. You have to act in His favor. But that's why I was talking about fruit, and I'm going to come out of John and Galatians and James and Peter, 2 Peter. We're going to put this all together. It says, beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Grapes are not gathered from thorn bushes or from figs or from thistles, are they? So every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good fruit cannot produce bad fruit, nor can a bad tree produce a good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire, so then you will know them by their fruits. Matthew 7:15 through 20. And you have to understand that you have to involve yourself in the church and know the church members so you can know who is bad, has bad fruit and good fruit. And so you know who to pray for. You know, you pray for everybody, but you have to pray even harder for non-believers so they can come to believe. And when you're a member, you have a statement of faith. The most important thing we unite around is the message. We proclaim the gospel. So we have to have statements of faith. And doctrine division is less likely to occur. Church covenant. The second most important thing is you have to unite around the lifestyle demanded by the message we claim to believe. For this reason, it is healthy to ask people to commit to the principles and priorities of the church covenant. And, you know, there's some responsibilities, of course, of a church member. You have to attend regularly, give regularly, pray regularly, attend communion services, attend business meetings. Meaningless membership refers to common practice of neglecting to tie the church membership to specific responsibility, priorities, expectations, privileges, and sanctions. It is dangerous not to have a church, because if you're a member of the church and you have a meaningless membership, you send confusion throughout the church. Meaningless membership causes division to the sin of unconverted members. Meaningless membership causes ambiguity regarding the duties of membership. Meaningless membership leads to the self-deception of irresponsible members. Join a church for the sake of non-Christians, to unify them and have them join in God's favor. Join a church for the sake of weaker Christians so you can build them up and make them strong. Join a church for the sake of church leaders so you can believe in them. Pastors need to know for which sheep God will hold them accountable so they can tend to them most responsibly and effective. That's Hebrews 13:17. If regular attendees don't join their church, the pastors cannot be free to what they do. Pastors can only devote themselves to the ministry because they are set free to do so by members who fund their work. Regular attenders benefit from the commitment of other people who have become members, who also give, serve, pray regularly. Now that was a brief discussion on being a member of the church, joining a church, becoming a member, becoming faithful to God. I just want to advise you, if you don't have any intention of going to a church and believing in God, you shouldn't really be there. Go to the pastor and talk to the pastor before you join and ask him for his help. Ask him for his prayer. See if you're doing the right thing. This is Pastor Keith with Progressive Movement Towards Christ and sermons on church members. And we just want to invite you, your friends, family, relatives, to hear our word. Hear what the word has to say about all things. God, you are the glory.